What's up, students? Welcome to Student Night, and again, more importantly, welcome to your small group. My name is Casey, and I'm the Central Director of Students. I want to start today with a super important question. You ready? Have you ever pogo sticked before? If you don't know what a pogo stick is, Google it. These things were a huge hit back in the day, and they've tried to make a comeback a time or two. When I was a kid, my neighbor had a pogo stick, and I remember one day he left it outside, and so I borrowed it for a few minutes. It was fun for about 30 seconds, but honestly, quickly I got pretty bored. I definitely wasn't hitting any backflips or jumping off of rooftops. You've probably experienced that before. You've received a gift or you spent money on something that you were super pumped about, but when you discovered that it wasn't all it was hyped up to be, you realized you were expecting more and you actually got less. Like that powder instant coffee stuff.
Put this at the bottom of the cup.
A little more.
Put some water in here.
How much?
A lot.
A lot. Oh, wow.
Whip it.
Whip it. Okay.
2,000 years later.
That does not look good at all. In this series, we've been talking about the Bible. And if we're being real, sometimes the Bible, this thing, it can make us feel the same way. Like it's not all that it's hyped up to be. For you, maybe the Bible, it hasn't delivered exactly what you're told it would. For example, you've heard the Bible described as a guide or an instruction book or a manual. And maybe you've heard it described as a place to find the solutions to all your problems. Maybe you've been told that if you have a question about life, then the Bible, it's got the answer. Maybe the Bible, it seems like it should just work like Google. Like, got a question? Just Bible it. But we all know that isn't true. We can't search the Bible for info about TikTok or cloud or Taco Bell nacho fries. I mean, it doesn't even specifically address the topic of dating. How could it possibly have something to say about our lives today? Sometimes, in fact, the Bible, this thing, it answers the questions we're not even asking. Like, what do we do when there's conflict among church leaders? Or how was the nation of Israel formed? Or who was Jesus' great-great-great-grandpa? Who knows? And sometimes it feels like the Bible doesn't answer the questions we're actually asking. Like, when in the world am I finally going to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Or how am I going to get my little brother or sister to stop bothering me? They're driving me nuts. Or why is my schoolwork so stressful and exhausting? Or what in the world do we do during a pandemic? I mean, this leaves us wondering, if the Bible doesn't really answer the questions that I have, then why is it even useful? And since we're in church, nobody's going to say, no, the Bible, it's not useful. Plus, almost every church person, a lot of the times, confidently says that this thing changed their lives. And so what do we do when we don't experience that? What are we missing? What needs to be explained in order for this thing to actually be important to us? We all have questions about the Bible. To search for some of our answers, today we're going to take a look at the book of Psalms. Psalms, it's a collection of poems and songs and prayers written by David, from people, more than David too, that they're about their experiences with God or their circumstances. We're going to look at the book of Psalms in chapter 19, which is the longest psalm and the longest chapter in the entire Bible. The writer says this: "Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light for my path." Psalm 119, 105. We all understand the idea of light. We know the good that it serves. Nobody wants to drive at night with no headlights on. Nobody wants the electricity to go out in a place where we live. Nobody wants to try to find your way to the bathroom in the middle of the night in the dark. That's why we have night lights. When it's dark, light makes all the difference. This writer is saying that God's word, this book, it's a light for the path of our lives, which is great, but it's also not saying this. It's like headlights and not a GPS. It's like a headlamp and not a map. It's like a flashlight, not a survival guide. Imagine asking this $10 toy to decide what you're going to do after graduation. Like, you got a magic 8-ball and you just say, should I go to a local college or should I move away? Well, the 8-ball says maybe possibly you should. What does that mean? Should I stay in school here? Should I go away? What should I major in? I mean, do you even care, magic 8-ball, about my life?
Nope.
This magic 8-ball, it isn't helpful for that. Or imagine if I tried to use my phone's GPS to deal with my friend drama that I have. I feel like it would probably just keep saying rerouting over and over and over again. And even if there was an instruction manual for dating, let's be honest, no one reads instruction manuals. I spend more time in my car than anywhere else, and if it breaks down, my whole life is put on hold until it's fixed. But have I ever even touched the instruction manual? No. Do you see the difference? A map, a GPS, or an instruction manual will clearly tell you what to do and where to go. But the Bible doesn't do that. The Bible is going to light up where you are and show you what's up ahead. But it doesn't always tell you exactly the answer that you want. It's a light that illuminates your path so that you're better equipped to make the best choices possible. And most of the time, however, we get frustrated because we want the Bible to give us specific answers. Instead, the Bible, it lights up the whole picture. It helps us connect all the pieces in our life. Because of the Bible, we can see a lot more and see a lot more clearly, and then we can move forward and make the best choices. Simply put, think of it this way. Our bottom line, the Bible brings things to light. So instead of seeing the Bible as an instruction manual, we can look at it like a light that guides us. It's a light for our path as we take steps forward. It can help us navigate paths that feel uncertain, scary, or confusing. The light doesn't have to force you to go a certain way. Instead, it gives you the opportunity to use wisdom to take the next right step. The dark, it often feels scary, uncertain, unknown. And if you've ever been in the dark, then you know that light is helpful before an emergency becomes an emergency. That's why you turn on your headlights before you start driving, or at least you should. The Bible works the same way. It gives us light before we stumble into trouble. It helps us way before we even need it. Earlier, in Psalm 119, the writer says this, "I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you." And that's how we should use God's word. Not as a genie, a magic 8-ball, Google Maps, or an instruction manual that we only turn to when we're desperate for help. But instead, this thing should be used as a light that we use ahead of time, hidden in our hearts, tucked in our minds and our memories. And when something comes up, we're ready for it. We have what we need. We avoid trouble. We avoid hurting ourselves, and we avoid hurting others. At some point, we're all going to face decisions where we're going to need answers. And it's going to be tempting to treat the Bible like Google and search for a specific answer that we want. But when we treat the Bible that way, it can actually lead to more confusion. On the other hand, when we use this thing as a light and a lamp, we'll be able to see the bigger picture. The entire path is illuminated. It doesn't mean our immediate questions get immediate answers, but it does mean that we're going to see all of life with a lot more clarity. The Bible brings things to life. It may not give us the specific answers that we want in the moment, but over time, it illuminates the entire path of our lives. And that's why people in your church who talk about the Bible and they say it's changed their lives. Yes, it can be confusing. It can be tricky. But for anyone who knows how to play the guitar or drums, it was tricky and confusing for them at first too. We have to put in the time to see the benefits of the Bible. Over time, it will help us better understand ourselves, better understand others, and better understand God. And when we use it like it was meant to be used, it can make a huge impact on our lives. So the question is, are you willing to give it some time? Are you willing to stick with it until it begins to light up your life? I think you'll be glad you did. Tonight, with your group, I want you to talk about the Bible. How do you feel about it? Do you read this thing? Do you feel like it's helpful? Is it confusing? Group time and your group leader is a perfect space to have honest and real conversations about anything, including the things that we don't understand. If you're listening right now and you are not connected in a group, I want you to text the word student to 419-419-0707. Again, text the word student to 419-419-0707, and we'll send you a link to get signed up for a group. It'll be the best part of your week, I promise. I've been praying for you guys. Enjoy your group conversation, and we'll see you next week.